This video is part of the 5 Under 5 open playlist. Basically, you make 5 projects and each project costs less than $5 to make. I'll tell you a little bit more about it later on in the video. Project number 1, Patriotic Flower House. So you all may know I have a whole bunch of these houses. I have 3 different sizes and just random patterns in the back. So pretty much every other video, I'm going to find a way to use them. And in this video, I'm going to make them, or I'm going to make this particular one patriotic. So to start, you need to separate the frame from the backing. And I find what works for me is just to use a utility knife and break the seal. And then once the seal's broken, I can just twist my knife and it just kind of, I would love to say it pops apart. It almost pops apart, but the paper kind of holds it together. So I have to clean that up. And I spent some time ripping little tiny bits of paper off of that and gave it a really, really good sanding. And then it was ready for the Mod Podge. Now I'm not going to Mod Podge and place that napkin down that you see with the stars and stripes. I'm actually going to go over this, I think 2 coats of Mod Podge, and then I'm going to set it off to the side like that. Now I did just do a haul recently and I found this really cool twine. It almost looked purple at first, but you when you get a closer look, it's, you know, that nice brown natural twine with some dark blue, and I really like it. It has like a vintage look that I just wanted to add to this. So I make just a little wreath for the top of the house. And I knew I had this tiny little ribbon, so I made a little ribbon for the top of my wreath. And I'm just like finding things to do while I'm waiting for the Mod Podge to dry. So still drying. So I got the wreath done, and now I'm like, oh, okay, I need to do the stripes. So white and red, it didn't really matter to me which was at the bottom, which was at the top. That's my Adirondack white chalk paint, and that's just regular old red acrylic paint. And I don't do the back, but I do the fronts and the sides, and I believe the top and bottom, just not the back. So set that off to the side. Still waiting for the Mod Podge, but almost there. So this was a 2-ply napkin, and I got these at Dollar Tree, quite a few weeks ago. I got them before a lot of the patriotic stuff was out, and I was really happy to see them. And if you'll notice, it's got like each quarter has a design on it, and that doesn't happen with a lot of napkins. So finally, the Mod Podge is dry, and it's time to decoupage the napkin to the back of the house. So I'm just trimming off a piece of parchment paper there. I've positioned the napkin where I want, and I take my regular clothes iron and I just give it a little bit of an iron. And I'm not even going to edit this. It's sped up a little bit, but I just want to show you how easy it is to just iron this napkin on. And if you watch my previous video, my craft iron has gone MIA. I have the cord, but not the iron. So this has been working actually pretty good. As long as you get that parchment paper in there between the iron and the napkin, you're good to go. And so I check, there is 0 bubbles, 0 wrinkles, 0 anything. It's just a nice napkin that's completely affixed to the backing. And you notice I just do a rough cut there because I'm going to sand the edges off, and it's just beautiful. I love this method of Mod Podging and sanding. Now I'm going to have a frame on it, so, you know, it wasn't like bad trim was going to be visible, but still, it's just really cool to do and really cool to show you guys as well. So that was it. Did you see how quick and easy that was? I decided at the last minute I wanted to paint the frame, so I just put a little bit of that white Adirondack chalk paint again. and it doesn't take long to dry. And then I just want to get as much glue on here as I can and get the backing on before the glue starts to cool off. So as soon as I get it on there, I kind of pick it up and just kind of mess around with it and push it and make sure it's even. I had one little bead of glue squeezed down into the center there of the at the bottom, and I was able to get it off okay without leaving a mark. So I prepared that earlier, and I didn't realize it overhangs so much. So I don't know, before the final reveal I might do something about that, but for now I'm gonna go ahead and attach my pretty little wreath. And looking at the wreath and looking at the stripes, and I'm like, oh, this just isn't right. We need a little bit of vintage on these stripes. So just regular brown acrylic paint on the edges and a little bit in the middle and even on the frame of the house. And then I just came in and give it a good sanding, and I was much happier with it. And now we're just going to pop in these patriotic flowers. I push the leaves up and trim them short. And here it is, and stick around till the final reveal for a better look. The 505 DIY challenge is hosted every month by Missy from Crafty Cove DIY and Emily from Farm Charm Chic. This month's guest host is Tammy from the Rusted Willow. These ladies work really hard, so show them some love. Visit their channel and click on the playlist. Those links will be in my description box. Okay, project number 2, truck full of stars and stripes. This is going to be a little play on words here. This truck form is something that I hadn't seen at a Dollar Tree. Usually it's thinner wood with bumpers, so I grabbed this one, and this is going to become a patriotic craft. I'm also using this wheel form from Dollar Tree, and I have a patriotic bow there, some stars I got off Amazon, some regular size or small popsicle sticks, and to start I'm just going to paint the truck. And I'm looking at one of their other trucks to get an idea of where to put the color and what to do with the color, as far as white highlights or dark things like dark lines for the doors and the bumpers and stuff. So I'm just going in with some of my folk art chalk paint. I'll list the color in my description box. I don't remember offhand. I'm using gray on the wheels because I don't want anything too stark. Like, I just thought that gray would look good, and it does. Anyways, I get all the color in there that I like, and I give it a quick dry. And I'm going to set that off to the side to finish drying. Oh, I guess I'm going to put the pipe cleaners on first. So that's how they're going to adhere to the wheel. And I just hot glued them. Then I grabbed those popsicle sticks, painted them red and white for the red and white stripes from the flag. And then I have the stars, and I'm painting them blue and white. And they're going to represent the stars from the Stars and Stripes. So you see where I'm going here. Trying to be clever. So set that all to the side, and by now, of course, the truck is fully dry, and I go in with my Cricut words, and I probably had to cut out at least half an hour there because I fussed around with those words for so long, and I ended up moving some of them. I put them all on the door. It says Stars and Stripes Moving Company. So this company only moves stars and stripes. So this is just going to be kind of an organic process here. I'm just going to hold up the stars and decide which ones I like and where. I like the idea of the popsicle sticks for the straps. I was just going to do stars, and I thought it's not quite enough. So I like that I did both. And it's just a little bit of hot glue, and I just try and make sure the hot glue does not show through the little wood section in the bed of the truck there. So I'm just careful about, I'll place the star where I want it, and then I'll just kind of like peel it off and put a couple little lines of glue and get it on there. All right, so I'm fixing these pipe cleaners onto the spokes of the wheel here. And that's just a little trick for if you're putting something on a base that is kind of like spindly and thin, these pipe cleaners sort of help. And I just put them in random places and then put the truck where I liked it on the wheel. And then once I twisted the pipe cleaners, I put a little bit more glue underneath. So I'm going to base the placement of the bow on where the truck is sitting on the wheel. And that's the one thing I don't like about this wheel is it's hard to get your bow or embellishment on it because it just doesn't have anything to grab onto. And I'll show you the bow that I put on, but I did go back and actually wrap the bow around the top of the wheel instead of just the spindles because it was just moving around way too much. It was not staying up. And I think another thing you can do is add greenery or florals so all the attention isn't on the bow and its exact placement, because it's kind of like you could sit there for hours and fuss with the bow and try and get it right and try and get it straight. So I mean, I like that it was a bigger bow. I chose the bigger bow because I thought that if it was crooked, it wouldn't show up as much. Anyway, I'm using the string that I like, that I got just got from Dollar Tree. And I took the original one out. It just was too big and wide, and it just didn't look good. And I think this string looks great. Now, I'm still trying to keep this bow large because it has lots of space to fill up there, but I did want to shorten them up and dovetail them because I don't want them to cover any of the words or any of the truck actually. So I really like how the bow turned out, but I do go back and wrap some more string around it and affix it to the top of the wheel instead of the spokes like I'm showing you here. So I'll give you a better look at this at the final reveal. Project number 3, boho vintage patriotic rainbow. I don't know if there is such a thing, but if there is, this is it. So it's just a quick little project here. I got this from Dollar Tree back when it was still $1, and I decided to leave the paper on so I could follow the guidelines. I don't know if that was a good idea or not, but I go ahead and just sand it, rough it up a bit so the paint stays on. And I really don't like how it felt to paint on the paper. So things like distressing just wasn't what I was used to. So you know, if I had to do it again, I might have just used the back and done my own divisions in between the arches there. So anyway, you'll see me counting. I'm trying to make sure blue, white, red, and natural. So you'll see me add in the brown for the natural, and I got a strip of white there to divide it from the next color, and so on and so on. So I actually craft really slow because the first thing I do when I'm editing is speed everything up. So you can imagine how slow it is if this is warp speed. See, I was checking to make sure I had the right number of colors for the arches there. So we're just gonna get our colors on. And this is just, I'm going to speed through this and edit a bunch out. It's just getting the colors in the right spot. And then once I'm done with that, I'll pop on some stars. And there's something at the end of this project that I didn't show you in the beginning that I decided to do. And I'm just gonna let you watch. So this is before sanding and distressing, and you can see how dark the brown came out. I really didn't like that. So I took white and I added, I'm adding some blue because the blue I used was chalk paint and it was rather dull. So I'm adding some acrylic blue because it's a little bit brighter. I forgot about that. So yeah, that's the first thing I do because I'm looking at it going, whoa, this is like so dark. This is like boring and unattractive. And I'll be the first to admit it did look unattractive. So get that nice bright blue there. And then I'm going to do the distressing. Then I took a break and printed up some stars off of my Cricut Joy, and I got to thinking that the rainbow is kind of plain. We needed to zhuzh it up. And if you've seen my previous video, I did a boho neutral rainbow, and I had lots of lace hanging from the bottom edges, so I pulled out my red, white, blue and natural colored strings and twine and ribbon and decided to add on to this. So you'll see me using the Cricut Joy stars just like stickers, and I just printed up two random sizes. I knew I wanted smaller ones in the middle, but I think I measured it at like an inch, and as long as it was under an inch, I was fine with that. So I wasn't even sure if I would have enough, to be honest with you, and I thought I'll just do the same on each side, so one on the bottom on the other side, and back and forth like that. And then I just got to trimming. I chose about 12 inches because I like that size. I've used that length in some of my other projects. And then these are all burlap ribbons, wired burlap ribbons. So what I did is cut 2 lengths and trimmed the wired edges, and then cut the actual ribbon in half. So I'd have two lengths to go. So I just thought that was a cool idea because it matched all the colors. Like, it just came to me because I knew I had red, white, and blue ribbon, and I haven't really used it a lot. So I always think it's important to do a dry fit, and so that's what I'm doing right here. I'm putting everything down and just making sure I like the way it looks. And right away I realized the strings are going to have to be in the front and the ribbons in the back. There wasn't going to be any mixing them around. So I'm glad that I did the dry fit because I figured that out. So just a little dab of hot glue for each of the strings and each of the ribbon lengths. And then I'm going to do one just to ensure that everything is adhered great. We need a hanging rope here. I just used some plain Dollar Tree twine. And you'll get a better look at this at the final reveal. Project number 4, black and white home sign. So I'm so sad. I missed a whole bunch of footage at the beginning of this craft, so I'm just going to show you. This is the sign that I used. It's black on the back and it has this right in the front, and I used the front because I couldn't get the tag off. And I just gave it a couple coats of chalk paint, white chalk paint or Adirondack chalk paint. And you could still kind of see the white writing, but it wasn't super noticeable, and I knew I was going to do stuff on top of it. So I left it at 2 coats, and then I did words with both my Cricut and with a stencil. So, and I did so good with the Cricut too. I really wanted to show you guys, but I did each word separate and then place them down, you know, sort of organically, the way I felt looked best. I chose this rope as the border because of the black and white. That seemed to be the theme. But before I could put that on, I wanted to just soften it up and give it this kind of distress treatment, because the bottom words are actually lighter color than the top. So I kind of wanted to make them more similar. Then I moved on to the bow. The first part of the bow was just a loop glued together and cinched in the middle. And then I made this awareness shape and gathered it up in the middle. Tied some of that nice looking jute round and round. And then I did that again to tie the two bows together. And you have the little double bow there, if I can actually hold on to it. Alright, so before I could put that bow on, I needed to work on that border. So as soon as I do a couple of tight knots here on the back, I'm going to set the bow to the side, and I'm going to start hot gluing the black and white rope. And just because this is a pretty simple craft, but we shouldn't, you know, rush through it just because it's simple. So I take my time getting the rope done, and I give it a little twist as I'm gluing to keep it tight and together. And you don't even have to glue like the whole strand. Like, I just glue a little bit, hold it, glue a little bit, hold it. And then when I get to the corners, I actually take, you know, a little bit longer to hold the shape of the corner. And it's worth it because I like how it turns out. It doesn't round out the corners like is possible if you just kind of glue it and let go right away. So finishing up here, I forgot I had some Cricut stars that I made. I'm just putting them randomly in the bottom words there, and then I'll pop a few at the top. And there wasn't any really rhyme or reason to this. I just wanted to use a few stars, and I thought a few at the top there looked good right next to the bow. I don't often do corner bows, so I felt like maybe I needed to balance it out. You'll see I already put a jute twine on there. I did it vertically like this because the holes were already there. So I just used more of that jute twine that I like for the hanging rope. And then I hot glued the bow, and then that's it. And I'll give you a better view at the final reveal. Project number 5, fireworks. That's a tube that got thrown off our roof when we replaced our roof. I cut it into 3 pieces and spray painted it white, and then brought it back inside. I have these stars that were part of a hanging thing from Dollar Tree, and so I'm going to paint the whole star the background color that it is now, and that'll get rid of some of the glitter, and then I'll go back in with the exact same color of the glitter but with just regular paint, and it gives it that sort of homemade crafty look, not shiny and store-bought. So once I get those letters done, it actually didn't look that great at first, but then when I came in with the second coat, it was a little bit, it was more vibrant, and I really liked how they turned out. See, the silver is going to be coinciding with the white embellishments, and then the U with the red and the A with the blue. So I traced the circle from the bottom of one of the tubes, and I cut them out, and I'm painting them the colors that match the letters. Everything's going to match the letters. So the tops will match the letters, the ribbons will match the letters. So we have all 3 done, blue, red, and silver, to match our stars. And there's our ribbons. blue, red, and white. The white goes with the silver. And just gonna measure down 5 inches from the top. I don't know why 5 inches, I just chose a number. In retrospect, maybe I should have bunched them up first and then just did the ribbon and the stars that way, but I didn't glue them together in the end, so you can sort of display them however you want. I bunched mine together, but you can definitely just separate them and stand them up one by one. So to finish them off here, I'm using a hot glue and the ribbon. So the top edge of the ribbon is at the 5-inch line there. And then I just do some thin beads of glue because it goes right through this ribbon and I don't like how it looks, so I want to minimize that as much as I can. And then I just trim the end after I get it the way I like it. And sometimes I have to put a little bit more glue, but you see I'm wearing my little glue finger there. And this is the last one. I'm showing you how I did it. Just a little bit of glue in the back there. And these are the embellishments. We got our USA, we got our red, silver, and blue, and now we just need the wick. Unfortunately, I could not think of a way to show you how to do this. Basically, you cut a length of the nautical rope and then you kind of fuzz out the bottom and you glue that to the top, to those circles that are made there. Hang on for a closer look at the final reveal. Don't forget to subscribe and give me a big thumbs up. See you soon.